Welcome back to another episode of The Road Chose Me. My name's Dan, and on today's episode, let's go through a huge grab bag of all the other vehicles that you guys suggested that I should get as my next Overland vehicle. So I am building out a new Overlander. I'll ship it to a new part of the world that I've never been to before, and Katie and I will explore there. I've thrown it out for a while now on social media. What should I get? What do you guys think should be my next Overlander? So let's run through them all quick fire. What I'll do is I'll put chapters down across the bottom in the video. If you just want to jump to a specific vehicle, you can do that, or you can watch the whole video. Let's go for it. All the other vehicles that I thought about for my next Overlander. So first of all, lots of people have said, why don't I just take this thing on my next Overland adventure? And you're right, it would work, it is an option. There's a couple of reasons that I'm not going to. One is she is getting a bit long in the tooth. She needs quite a bit of maintenance work that I've been lazy, I just haven't done. So I would need to sink some time and money into it. Totally doable, I'm just not doing it. The second reason though, and more importantly, is I just want to do something new and something different. I've lived in this for 4 years of my life, full time. I didn't have a house, I didn't have, a rental somewhere with other possessions that I owned. This was my house. And to be honest, I just kind of am a bit done with it. I know what it's good at, I know what it's not good at, I really know what I want to improve upon. And every time I use it now, I only just see the things that I want to improve, and I say, I wish it had this, or I wish I had done that differently. And so instead of feeling like that all the time, I'm just going to go and build that new thing with all of those improvements. It's kind of just a personal preference thing. I would like to just keep evolving and keep learning and keep doing new things rather than just hold on to the old one. I am going to hold on to her for now. I'm just about to drive her into a shipping container this afternoon. She's going away in storage while I sort out the new vehicle. Long-term plan, still working on that. I'll get back to you when I have updates. For now, I'm holding on to her. We'll see what happens. Another option that many of you suggested is the American Safari JXL conversion. And for those of you that don't know, it's a conversion somewhat like this. It includes an integrated pop-up. It goes on the Jeep Wrangler, whether it's this model or the newer version, the JL Wrangler, and it adds 15 inches in length at the back here. So it's a bolt-on extension that basically extends the rear of the Jeep. You get that much more interior volume, that much more living space because it's all enclosed with the pop-up roof. I think it is pretty nice, but there's a couple of reasons I'm not doing it. First and foremost, have a look at this photo. This is one of their official promo photos. You can see what it looks like. You can see it's a Wrangler, it's a bit longer, it has the pop-up roof. What I really don't like about it is the whole thing is just bolt on. They kind of pride themselves on not welding anything to the original frame. So basically, you're pushing everything back 15 inches. The weight of the spare and the tire, which on that photo is, I think, a 37 inch. That's pretty heavy. You've got a tire carrier on that. You've got the AEV fuel caddy. You might have a set of max tracks. You might have a high lift jack. I can tell you from experience, all of this stuff is very, very heavy. It's already behind the rear axle on my Jeep, which I don't really like. On their conversion, it's now 15 inches further behind the rear axle than anyone ever designed that vehicle for. When they designed that axle, they designed that suspension, it's not designed for that. And because it's only bolt on, I just can't imagine how strong it is. My friends, when they went around Africa in the big E350 van, huge big frame, they cracked their frame because the roads in West Africa are so bad. If they cracked the frame on that, how is a little bolt-on extension gonna handle all of this weight for an additional 20, 30, 50,000 miles of the world's worst corrugations? I don't actually like that idea. I don't want to be the one testing it. The other reason that I don't love the JXL is that it's $20,000. That's $10,000 more than this pop-up roof cost me. So if it was me, I would still get this pop-up roof and I would spend that $10,000. That's more than enough for gas money to drive from Alaska to Argentina. So if you buy the Ursa Minor and spend the rest of the money on gas, you're already halfway to saving the money you need to drive to Argentina. That's an easy decision in my book. I don't love that JXL thing. They are coming to Overland Expo, so I will be able to check one out in person. The next one that lots of people are asking about is basically a whole category, and that is vehicles that are imported from somewhere else in the world. So this includes Land Rover Defenders, this includes Land Cruiser Troop Carriers, IVECO Dailies, Pinzgauers, like all of these vehicles that are available, Hiluxes, somewhere else in the world, they were never sold in North America. I am not doing that. And there's a couple of reasons. One is that parts and support just become that much harder. My friend Jordan, who had that sweet van that I had on a couple of weeks ago, he right now is struggling very, very hard. Luckily, he's found some guy in like the Czech Republic who knows a guy in Albania who can get the parts that he needs. And so he's doing this like really complicated shipping arrangement and transferring money into people's bank accounts just to get an alternator for that thing. Because it doesn't exist here, nobody knows what it is. That engine was never sold in any vehicle here in North America. Getting parts is a pain in the neck, and finding a shop that'll work on it. He can't necessarily do all that work himself. All the shops here in the town we live in, they just looked at it and said, no way, man, we're not working on that, go away. So I don't want to own an import because I think it will be really annoying. Also getting parts, even if you just want a new front bumper or you want new suspension, you're going to have to import it from somewhere else in the world. It's going to take a long time, it's going to be expensive. I don't want to deal with all that hassle. I want a vehicle I can jump in and go have adventures. And then the other one for me personally is I want to show people what's possible. I want to drive a vehicle that people can just walk in and buy, be it brand new or like I'm getting a used one, go and find one on Craigslist, you know, do your homework, find the model that's right for you, and then you can have adventures like I had. There is nothing stopping anyone in North America building out a similar Jeep to this and driving around Africa or driving the Pan American Highway. I want to continue to show people that you can just buy an ordinary person vehicle and go and have adventures. The next one as I go down the list is the Land Cruisers that were available here in North America. So you could get an 80 series, a 100 series, a 200 series Land Cruiser. Lots of people suggest that I get one of those. Don't get me wrong, I think they're great vehicles. They are very reliable. They do have amazing parts support around the world. The big downside is here in North America, they only came with gas engines, which is petrol, and they get disgraceful fuel consumption. When I say disgraceful, I mean when they're loaded for an expedition with your rooftop tent or your food, your water, all your stuff, the fuel consumption is about double that of this Jeep that's sitting behind me. So when I went around Africa, I spent about $18,000 on gas to drive this around. If I had a Land Cruiser, I would have spent $36,000. Not only does that not work for me because of the amount of money, it also doesn't work purely because of the amount of fuel that I would have to bring. You just can't carry that much fuel, it's not possible, and I might have had trouble sourcing it. As it was in the Congo and in Sudan, I had enough trouble just getting gas for this thing. So when I did the Canning stock route, when I crossed the Simpson Desert, I carried 250 litres of gas. That's 550 pounds of weight. I would have had to double that if I did it in one of the Land Cruisers you can buy here in Canada or North America. I just cannot fathom bringing 1,000 pounds worth of fuel to do a trip like that. So for me, as much as I like those vehicles and I think they're good, immediately that is unworkable, not even in the realm of possibility. Even just to drive up to Alaska and back from where I'm standing right now, I did 6,000 kilometers a few years ago from here to there and back. To do that, to spend twice as much on gas, and remember, gas isn't cheap when you get up north, when you're in the Yukon, when you're in Alaska, you're gonna spend a lot of money. I would rather have a vehicle that uses less fuel. That's a big priority for me. So therefore, Land Cruiser 80 series, 100 series, 200 series, that's a firm no. I won't even consider it. Another quick and easy one, quite a few people suggested that I get an America's Most Wanted Gladiator or Wrangler. So for anyone that doesn't know, that's a company out of the US. They will put a ginormous V8 engine into a brand new Gladiator or a brand new Wrangler. You can get all the different supercharged options, the 707 horsepower. You can get all the way up to 1,000 horsepower, supercharged with an intercooler, all of that. For me, that is just absolutely not even realistically possible. One, because of the budget, two, because of the fuel consumption, three, because of the parts and availability. Once you leave North America, that engine just doesn't exist, and the parts and all those reasons, I have no interest in a big high horsepower V8. And I've got to say, on all my expeditions around the world, I had a little 2.5 litre 4-cylinder Jeep for Alaska to Argentina. I think stock that thing had less than 100 horsepower. This thing now has definitely lost a few horsepower over the years. I think it came with 160. I don't even know, I've never even looked it up. But I've got to say, all my expeditions every day on the road, never once did I think to myself, I want more horsepower. Every single day I thought to myself, I wish I was spending less money on fuel. So therefore, no big V8. Someone else suggested, what about a military surplus Hummer or even an LMTV, which is kind of a light military transport vehicle. The Americans use them. They're pretty big truck that, you know, you could build a camper on the back of. My answer to that is too big, too expensive, but more than that, do I want to drive a military surplus Hummer in places like Sudan or Nigeria? I don't think so. I don't know how that would go, but I'm not going to be the person to find out. So for me, for global travel, no, those vehicles aren't a consideration. Next on the list is really big trucks. So there would be Unimogs, there would be the Altera camper from AT, there would be an IVECO daily, you know, massive big live-in house on wheels trucks. I think they're incredible. I think they provide a level of luxury I'm not even aware of. I would have to go to work for the next 20 years to be able to buy one of those things. It's just too much money for me. I don't have that much money. I could spend the next 20 years dreaming of going on expeditions in the ultimate expedition truck, or I could spend the next 20 years buying used affordable vehicles and actually going on adventures. Again, the decision's easy for me. It has to be budget friendly. It has to be something I can actually realistically afford. I talked about this a bit earlier, but people are still asking, what about a Bronco, the new one? I don't understand how it would be an upgrade from the thing behind me. I think it's a downgrade because it doesn't have the pop-up roof in the interior living space. Same story goes for a Tacoma. How is that an upgrade from the Gladiator I had? It isn't. I'm not going to get one. I'm looking to improve on what I've done before, not just move sideways. And then the final entire category that lots and lots of people are moving to, I think they're now the most popular in North America, is like a full-size American pickup truck. So this would be like a Dodge 2500, maybe with like the 6.7 litre Cummins diesel or something along that same lines. Maybe even an F-150 from Ford, you know, whichever manufacturer you want to pick, but basically like a big American pickup truck. And actually, that's the reason that I don't want to get one. First and foremost, I think they're just too big. Here in America, I think it kind of makes sense. Lots of people use them on farms, or kind of the roads are big, the parking lots are big, all of that. The rest of the world, it's a totally different story. Even in Australia, my Gladiator was a big vehicle, almost one of the biggest vehicles on the road. It was really annoying to park at supermarkets. It was borderline too big for some of the tracks I had it on. Any bigger than that, I think would just be really annoying. I couldn't even imagine driving a big 2500 down in Central America or in the little villages I was driving through in Africa. I don't want to be that guy in the massive big pickup truck, just the biggest vehicle possible. I think, you know, the wheels and tires just get so big and so heavy, it starts to be difficult to replace them on your own. Working on an engine that big, you're pretty much going to need air tools. All of it, I think, just gets to the scale that it's not really approachable or manageable for a single person out on their own in the middle of nowhere. If I was staying in North America and I wanted a live-in camper and I wanted luxury, sure, maybe I'd throw a camper on the back of one of those, or like a Tundra or something. But I'm going global. I don't think a big American pickup truck is the way to go. And final thought on pickup trucks, I said it when I had the Gladiator, I still am not sold on the idea of you have your driving compartment and then you get out and you walk around and then you have your rear section, even if it's got a nice camper on it. I kind of don't like that idea of two separate vehicles. I want one integrated living space where it's all connected and I'm packing and storing things and organizing things with just one area. I think my brain likes that more. So for me, no big American pickup trucks. So there you go. That is all of the other vehicles that you guys have been suggesting for so long now. And I have been taking note of them all and thinking and weighing them against my criteria. And you can see, my criteria are pretty strict, but the reason I'm eliminating them is because it's easier to make a decision once you've removed all that won't work. Otherwise, you just get stuck in analysis paralysis, and for months and months and months, you could just say, oh, what about this, or what about this, and the list grows and grows. I don't want to do that. I just want to hurry up and make a decision, build something, and go and have an adventure. That is my focus after all. So if you enjoyed the video, hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. The very next video, I will show you my new Overland vehicle. The build is underway. Things are getting very exciting. There is lots of behind the scenes content. We're gonna have a Patreon meetup and a camp out with the new vehicle. If you wanna be a part of that, join up on Patreon. We're gonna meet up at Overland Expo and we're gonna go camping together. You'll be able to climb all over the new vehicle, see inside of it, all of that kind of stuff. Link down in the description for Patreon. But until next time, when I'll be up to my elbows building a new vehicle, have fun out there and maybe I'll bump into you on the road.